Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to be giving you some guidance on how to buy a power supply. The power supply is one of the most important components in your computer. This is due to the fact that that is the single thing that will power every other component inside of your PC. Your power supply needs enough power in order to drive all of those components, and if you get your power supply wrong, it could harm the future of your system. So the first thing you'll want to do is you'll want to get the brand of the power supply right. Now, you don't want to buy a cheap power supply, not only because it's cheap and obviously you get what you pay for, but due to the fact that it is a cheap power supply, they will use cheap components which may be dangerous to your system from the start and towards the very end. This could cause anything up to your cables inside of the power supply frying, and then that could make some disastrous things happen to your system. Whether that's the power supply exploding or the power supply frying and then it fries your motherboard, your graphics card, and maybe even your processor, which isn't good, and that's not what we want. So some of the brands that we recommend Corsair. Corsair are a fantastic company. They're reputable, and due to their power supplies being high-end, they contain high-end components which will not ruin your system. There are other high-end brands though, like EVGA and Cooler Master, so those three are definitely the ones to look into when buying your power supply. In terms of the cheap stuff, you want to avoid brands like CIT, PowerCool and Diablo Tech. Now, I will provide a link in the description to an image that was posted on the PC Master Race Reddit, which shows you all of the good and the bad brands of power supplies to choose from. So I recommend going for a higher end one. This means you're going to have to spend that bit more money, but you're paying one for your protection and the safety of your PC, and you're also paying for the additional features with the power supplies, which I'll get onto now. Now, on some power supplies, there are different features depending on how much you spend. Now, on some of them, you get features like the low fan noise levels. For instance, some of the fans on the power supplies won't spin unless your power supply is using at least 40% load, which is great as it keeps the noise of your PC down and it doesn't use as much energy. There is the modular feature on power supplies, which makes it so that you only have to have the cables that you need for the components in your system. This means that you won't have as much room being taken up in your case with wires, and it'll improve the airflow in your case. Now, one thing you will have to look for when going for a fully modular power supply is that you have all of the right connectors on the power supply to connect to the components in your system. One thing I also recommend is to go for power supplies that have the 80 plus logo on it. You'll find these on most power supplies these days, and it'll have 80 plus and then either bronze, silver, gold, platinum or titanium like this one here. Basically, the 80 plus power supplies are more efficient, as at 20%, 50% and 100% load, the power supply will still run 80% or more efficiently on all of those loads, which is great as you'll be getting the most out of the power supply and you won't be losing any energy due to that. Now we're going to go on to how much wattage you'll need. The wattage is the max output that the power supply can provide in terms of power, and this is one of the things that you're going to have to get right when buying your power supply. Now, there are multiple calculators online that can tell you what wattage you'll need for your particular system. This is done by you putting all of your specs in, or the specs that you wish to have in your PC, and then it will generate what type of wattage you will need for that machine. If you're not comfortable with going off the reliability of an online calculator, for most home PCs, I would recommend at least a 550 watt power supply, and then for a gaming PC, an 800 watt power supply would suffice. But then if you're wanting to add other components into your system, like an extra graphics card or anything like that, then you may want to go for an 850 watt or above. This just means that you've got that extra leg room inside of the system for all of the other components that you may want to add. There are two different types of wattage on a power supply. There's the continuous wattage and peak wattage. Now, the continuous wattage is, as the name suggests, a continuous amount of energy flowing through the power supply. Peak wattage, we don't really know what the peak is that it can get up to. Say I've got a 750 watt power supply and it's got a peak wattage on it. That could be that it runs at 600 watts most of the time, but only ever goes to 750 watts. which isn't good because you're not getting the full potential of the power supply. So it's mostly best to go for a continuous wattage power supply, as you're not then going to have to worry about what that peak wattage might be. Now, there is one debate online whether it's best to go for a single rail power supply or a multi-rail power supply. Now, the rails on the power supply are a group of traces that run on the power supply's mainboard. These are like those small little coppery lines that you see all over your motherboard, but on the power supply's case, these are where the 12-volt cables are soldered to. Now, the difference between the single and the multi-rails is that with the single, it only runs, like the name suggests, on a single rail. So that means that the 12-volt cable will be pushing everything through that single rail. So then it will only have one OCP, which is the overcurrent protection, which is the max output that the ampage can have on that power supply. Now, with multiple rails, as the name suggests again, they spread onto multiple rails, which will then have a different divided amp between each of the rails. This means that the OCP is smaller, which means that if the current running from the power supply to that rail hits that OCP, the PC will shut off, which means that'll save your power supply, and it means that it won't damage the components in your system. It's recommended to go for the single rail ones if you're only using a home use PC. This is due to the fact that it has a bigger ampage to reach, so that obviously if it is only staying at small power levels, it's not going to reach the OCP, and your PC won't have to shut down if it reaches a bigger power. It's recommended though for bigger PCs that are more power hungry, such as gaming ones, that you go for a multi-rail power supply, as that, say if you're using a lot of intensive programs, if your power is getting to the max OCP that it can handle, then your PC will just shut off, like I said, and it won't damage any of your components. So just some things to go over before I end this video. You're going to want to make sure that the power supply fits inside of your case. Now, don't worry about this because usually you'll find that the power supply will fit, but just make sure that you look at the dimensions of the power supply, that it'll fit in your particular case. For instance, if you've got an ATX case, then go for an ATX power supply, and then the same with mini ATX and stuff like that, but you should be fine either way. Now, you're only really going to need a full tower case if you're going for the 1500 watt power supplies, like I showed earlier on in the video, but as I've said, you should be fine. This is the same with the connections on the power supply as well. You're going to want to make sure that all the connections on the power supply are the same as the connections on the components within inside your system. So for example, say you've got a new graphics card, you want to make sure that the power cable running from the power supply to the graphics card is the same connection. The do's and the don'ts, you want to make sure that you do buy from a reputable company such as Corsair, Cooler Master or NZXT. And the don't is that you don't want to buy from a bad company such as CIT, Diablo Tech or PowerCool. You only have to do a quick Google search to find some of the disastrous consequences that people have made by buying a cheap no-name power supply. Also, you want to do your research. Now, the one thing that you should do is make sure that you do as much research as possible. Hopefully this video will be enough, but it's always good to make sure that you're 100% happy buying the power supply that you need for your system. You can do this by going to review sites such as Tom's Hardware or Johnny Guru, but you should be fine either way. Just do your research. I've been Matt. I hope this video has helped you, and if it has, please leave me a like and a comment. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video.